Americans of Reddit, what about Europe makes you go thank goodness we don't have that here? No screens in windows. You don't realize how much you miss them until there's a pigeon in your flat. Pickpockets. Shitty ass dryers. American living in Europe. Canadian here. I lived in the UK for a couple of years with 2 kids and no dryer at all. It rains there most days, so the outdoor clothesline was next to useless, too. A minor inconvenience in the greater scheme of things, but still pretty inconvenient after what I was used to. I recently visited the UK again and went to use the laundry facilities at our Airbnb. Again, no dryer. And no clothesline either. Had to drape our damp clothes over every radiator, chair, and windowsill in the place for 2 days before anything was wearable. Edit, thank you for all the helpful laundry drying tips, everyone. To reassure those who were concerned, the old washing machines were definitely not combo dryers, and the Airbnb was genuinely lacking a drying rack of any description. Our enthusiasm for the visit was not dampened, though. Just our socks. Teresa meme where the only reason the Brits colonized a quarter of the world is to have a day without goddamn rain. Paying to use a toilet. I was once in a Dutch train station practically dancing. I had to pee so bad, rummaging through my purse looking for the right coin, when a nice lady came up and said, "It takes this one, put the coin in," and opened the door for me. Pro tip, the station bathrooms cost money but the ones on the train are free. I gave up on train bathrooms in France. They're always disgusting, and once I was stuck on a train where the nearest ones were all either missing 1 toilet paper or 2 soap. The lack of accessibility for people with physical disabilities. I lived in the UK, specifically London, for a few months, and I'd always think, how is a person with a wheelchair supposed to get through this city? I have to say that even though I'm not disabled, I was shocked to see how many places are not wheelchair accessible for people. In Naples, it's not rare for older people to live in buildings on the 3rd floor or higher, rarely leaving their apartment. They get stuff delivered via a rope and a bucket through their window. Edit, I think some of you think the rope and bucket thing isn't true. GramVoyageItaly.com. This is so sad. The price of gas, or for my buddies across the pond, petrol. I always see American prices and think, how much? And remember, you charge by the gallon and we charge by the liter, although I think we're probably paying double what you are. I'm pretty sure Americans drive far more often than Europeans though, so we probably buy more of it on average. The lack of good Mexican food. A lot of places in Europe don't have air conditioning, even though they could really use it. The London Underground could really use some kind of cooling, but I guess they'd have to figure out how to get rid of the excess heat, and Duck knows how to do that. It used to be really cool when it was new, used to be a selling point even. Over time though, the clay around the tunnels absorbed the heat. Can't just bung aircon in there, as you'd need to vent it somewhere. Where? Almost everywhere above's built on already. They are working on it though. Few lines got it a bit back. I read this and thought it was bullshit, but nope, it's true. Citometric.com. Paying ridiculously amount of money for a driver's license, Germany. Yeah, here we give them out in ducking cereal boxes. Yeah. US requirement for a driver's license, warm body. 97 and blind? No probs, you're good. I was renewing my license the other day, and the person administering the vision test to some older than Moses blind as duck lady was telling her what the letters were. She couldn't even see the flashing lights for the peripheral vision test, but she walked out 5 minutes later with her driver's license. I had to do a vision test when I was trading my old license for a new one after I moved to a new state. When I took it, I thought the lady was ducking with me, asking for some non-existent letters that I couldn't see because I am extremely heavily left eye dominant. They still gave me my license after I did some haphazard guessing of the letters. I'm left eye dominant too. I remember having that feeling when I took my very first vision test in like kindergarten or something. I thought the test administrator was bullying me because she was demanding I read non-existent letters. I cried until I closed me left eye and finally saw them, lol. You only need, in most states, 20/40 or better out of one eye to drive. The other eye could be blind and yet still get a license. Important distinction, 20/40 after correction. Although if you need correction to see at 20/40, it will be noted on your license. Their level of smoking. It seems North America is way ahead on anti-smoking. Australia is pretty good for anti-smoking as well, and I am very grateful for it. I mean, you basically need to be a millionaire to smoke in Australia, so that makes sense. Yeah, I was going to say at $25 a pack I don't think I could afford to smoke. It's been years since I've been to Europe. Hell, it's been before places here started banning smoking. But I do remember a ton of smoking. Varies quite a bit by where you go. It's not so bad in most Nordic countries, but it is in most Mediterranean countries, as far as my experience goes. Smoking is banned at public places in Sweden now. Places such as bars and restaurants have signs for it. Canadian here. Something that I never understood was that shops and other places just get closed so darn early. Like you are sitting there reading in the light of day and the owner comes and says it is closed. Some days everything is either closed or will close super early for no apparent reason. In America, things stay open till hell freezes over. The number of times I've had to leave my car frozen overnight at work during a blizzard. Sorts by controversial. Oh yeah. Thanks for the reminder. Piers Morgan. Please don't let him come back here. Well, we don't want him either. Can we split the difference and drop him in the middle of the Atlantic? We don't want him either. Sincerely, Atlantis. Canadian here. I love Europe, but the population density and crowds there is enough to drive me crazy. Don't get me wrong, there are places that are less populous, but there is nothing like going out into Canadian country and not seeing another soul. Canadian here. From my few trips to Europe, only France and Greece, I'm happy that we don't have the high smoker-non-smoker ratio, the sheer density of population in some places, the water scarcity, so many tourists. I know tourism is good for national economy, but I'd go crazy if I couldn't access my favorite spots because there are always tourists in the way, that warm of a weather. You might like Norway, less crowded, smoking is on a decline, plenty clean water, no summer, not as warm summer I meant. We're basically miniature Canada, I guess. It's the southeastern Alaska of Europe. Lived in both, can confirm. Things closing really early. I was at a coffee shop doing homework when studying abroad. By around 3 they came up to me and kicked me out since they were about to close. In the US, coffee shops are often open pretty late for people to study, so that was weird go me. Other than that, I think living in Europe would be wonderful. Meanwhile, the Greek Cypriot girls at my English uni were complaining that the coffee shops shut, at latest, around 10 p.m. They were wanting to go for coffees at midnight and later, like they apparently did at home. I can't say for certain about all of them, but the Mediterranean countries tend to have everything stay open until later. You can go to restaurants still at 2 a.m. in some places in Portugal, for example. The further north you go, the less that's the case, generally. I am really glad that almost everything is open on Sundays. I lived in Germany for a few months, and didn't plan groceries right that first weekend. Grocery store closed. I didn't have anything to eat, so I walked into town to find a restaurant, and the only thing open was a Pizza Hut. I don't even like Pizza Hut when I'm in the US. Tip: in Germany gas stations are open on Sundays and they almost always have a mini grocery shopping area. How hard it is to get meals outside of mealtime. In America, regardless of what hour of the day it is, you can be reasonably sure of finding some kind of restaurant open. Even at 2 a.m. you can find a Denny's or something. Most restaurants, outside of really fancy places, don't close down between meal times, so you can go in at any time during operating hours to get food. Compare that to places where all the restaurants are only open during mealtime hours, and you're out of fucking luck if you get hungry at 10 in the morning. Disclaimer: the last time I left the USA was in the 90s and things may be different now. But that is what frustrated me about my trip. Edit: the number of people saying just buy groceries and make your own food when I'm talking about an experience on a vacation is astounding. Of course I would just make my own food if stuff was closed and I live there, that's what I do at home. You're a bit limited when you're on vacation though. As a not giving an F about time, I'm on vacation kinda guy, I love this when visiting the US.